seriously injured, which was being pursued by him in a sorry state. All right, absolutely none of those betrayers will be able to escape. Hearing Chu Feng's words, Tang Shishi's heart could not help but be moved for Chu Feng was surprisingly worried himself from such a distance away. Well, just take care of yourself, and if you really can't, just wait for me to come back and finish. Chu Feng faintly smiled, waved his fist, and said, these people won't know how great the top credentials are. After such a period of time had passed, he had an opportunity at most to be able to break strength. Good. Be careful yourself. Even though nothing will happen over here, you'll still lose levels after the so you won't be able to improve. Tang Shishi returned. The two talked about it for a bit before exchange. It feels like it's really impossible to feel this in both parties at all times without, and it seems like I start my plans ahead of time before I do, or else I'll be able to when the time comes. On the other side, couldn't help but start brainstorming after disconnecting. At the same time she began to reflect on what the two had just said. For a moment, he was not infatuated. You have to know that she sure had her all the time since she was a little girl, and no one has ever been able to stand bearing all the things always alone. Now there's someone who is genuinely feeling both sides. She decided that in order to be able to live and die with Chu Feng, to be together forever, she was going to cut off the immediate trouble completely. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but think back to her last life in which the demon clan was nearly exterminated due to the backstabbing of an ally. As soon as she thought of this, Tang Shishi's eyes immediately flashed with all sorts of blood blankness, which even contained countless fury. The skyrocketing baleful aura directly wrapped the entire palace in it. Tang Shishi gazed forward slyly, her eyes flashing with endless killing intent, her charming, seductive to the core red lips saying quietly, for the sake of a peaceful and tranquil life in the future, please go down in peace. The ghostly gaze seemed to penetrate through boundless space and landed within a clan 10,000 miles away. Men, gather the elders, it's time for the moment to clean up the moths inside the demon race. As Tang Shishi's words fell, the people around him seemed to feel a piece of bloody gas soaring up around them. The temperature all around dropped several degrees in general. Yes, Lord Demon Emperor, with an order, the demon race, which had originally calmed down because they had exterminated the demon race. With that order, the boiling and confusion began anew. It seems like I have to work harder to raise my strength up quickly, so that for Tang Shishi to be able to better help on her. Re-entering outside, Chu Feng realized that Tang Shishi had actually sat down in such a big matter. The first was that during this time, she had actually exterminated the demon race. The second is a clear understanding that he is extremely underpowered. It's been so long, and it's still at the spirit realm cultivation level. It was important to know that his current qualifications were already extremely top-notch among ordinary qualifications, and thanks to the system, there was no bottleneck for any of them players to cultivate. As long as the cultivation level was reached, it would be watertight and break through to the next level directly. Although there is such an advantage in place, it is also time to refine the elixir. Over this period of time, he had broken through to the 6th level of the spirit realm. It was now preparing to break through to the 7th level of the spirit realm. Starting at this point, it was the late spirit realm, and as their cultivation level rapidly increased, the speed of their cultivation also accelerated. But the spiritual energy needed to break through was also increasing exponentially. Relatively speaking, the speed isn't much different than it is now. Just as the cultivation increased, the combat power also began to start to unite with the means and also the talent. And among the talents, one of the extremely important points was the physique. Compared to ordinary existences, cultivators with spirit bodies had several times, dozens of times more spiritual energy in their bodies than others. The moves in which power could be exerted were also more furious. Other than that, it was the ability of the spirit body to accelerate the speed of spiritual refining and absorption of the elixir. The stronger the spirit body was, then absorption the speed of and refinement would be more and more rapid. These are the things he learned during his experience. Therefore, Chu Feng's qualifications due to the moment he started, caused him to not even take the slightest action even though he understood this. But now the qualifications are starting to improve. Then he starts thinking about that too. Originally thought that the pills given by Shishi were enough to elevate to the next stage and thought that she had given too much. Who knew? Understanding his advantage, Chu Feng began to check up on all of his supplies. Who knew not to look, but to look. In his storage bag, the hundreds of pills given by Tang Shishi. Under his refining, there was now starting to be very little left up, especially applicable to spirit realm cultivation. There's about a third of it left. He estimated that he had consumed all the pills after cultivating to the 8th level of the spirit realm. It seems that one has to sell some of the supplies in their hands, and after purchasing pills, then quickly increased their strength before doing so. After understanding his situation clearly, Chu Feng began to look for a way out. The first thing he did was to sell all the supplies inside the storage bag in his hand. Along the way, he had already lost count of how many cultivators he had killed and how many storage bags he had harvested. The supplies inside are even more terrifying. However, none of that did much for him. They were all not so good at preserving their lives as well as having supplies such as elixirs, weapons, and the like. There's not much use in giving him anything like that. Nevertheless, he took out one of the storage bags, because this was the storage bag of the 7-star sun. The treasures inside were too high grade even though he said he couldn't use them right now. But wait until his cultivation improves later. The stuff still works, and because he is an outlaw, he is always in crisis. The result was that he didn't have many spirit stones in his hands, but spirit medicines, magic treasures, magic artifacts, and so on were all top-notch in existence. Such a thing was completely sufficient for Chu Feng to use in the later realms. End of chapter. Chapter 133 Counterattack. Chapter 133 Counterattack. As Chu Feng began to receive the inheritance, a stream of information quickly surged into Chu Feng's mind. The information flowed into his mind and became a part of him. These streams of information were immense and contained countless information. There are passages about the basics of spiritual medicine, alchemy, Dan formulas, and so on. What's more, there was the process of Ouyang Heavenly Palace refining and developing this amazing explosion Dan. This knowledge was immense, squeezing into his mind all at once, making him, Chu Feng, feel as if his head was going to be unable to withstand the knowledge and explode. I don't know how much time had passed, but at that moment, Chu Feng clutched his head and let out a pained grunt. On the other side of the weirdness, as the flow of information was transmitted, a message on the game system's side flashed rapidly on top of the panel. Basic Elixir Book Mastering Success. Basic Alchemy Book Control. Alchemy Common Sense Mastery. First Grade Alchemy Successfully Mastered. Second Grade Alchemy Mastery Success. Ninth Grade Alchemy Mastery Success. Amazing Explosive Dan Technique. Start typing. Ninth Grade Explosive Amazing Dan Technique begins to master successfully. In the blink of an eye, Chu Feng had become a true 9th grade alchemist from a little white man who was not even considered a 1st grade alchemist who could only refine one type of Peiyuan Dan. And, with the rapid growth of time, these alchemy transfers grew even more exponentially up. Trial zone. What's going on? We're both open up here? Chidanzi looked at the barrier in front of him with some confusion. These changes appeared during the process of his alchemy, and what was extremely bizarre was that he, a Xian realm cultivator, was completely unaware of these circumstances. These sudden changes couldn't help but make him a little flustered. Master, isn't this just right to make that brat pay? Zilinger instead didn't notice any of this. She remembered Mo Dandong's behavior towards him earlier. No one had dared to be so naked with him before. Indeed, due to the steep attention to the situation over here, the originally refined potion was also destroyed. It was something that just depressed him. Was wondering where to take this out now. Let's go. Find that kid. Immediately, Red Danzi brought Zilinger and searched for Mo Dandong on the large platform. This platform was only a few thousand square feet in size, and there were only a few alchemy furnaces on it as well as 3 small platforms that were 1 person high. At a glance, one is able to take in the surroundings. Red Danzi was tens of meters ahead of them in the blink of an eye, and was currently in the middle of alchemy. The sudden appearance of Chidanzi and the others directly caused a shock in Mo Dandong's heart. Under the shaking of the spiritual energy, black smoke as well as a burnt odor directly emerged from the alchemy furnace. It seems that this furnace of elixir has been scrapped. You guys? There was an inexplicable gleam in Mo Dandong's eyes, and there wasn't much of a look of fear. Humph, succubus, weren't you quite arrogant just now? Why have you become so cowering now? Zilinger didn't give the other party an ounce of face, and came up and angrily rebuked. What do you mean? What's the point of being arrogant in front of me with a vase? A mess that doesn't even count as a human being. Who is Mo Dandong? One of the most famous and powerful playboys in reality. When has he ever suffered this kind of aggravation? He disliked it right away. To him, these two were nothing more than a small NPC. How dare something that isn't even human speak to him like that? Master, how dare you do this to me? Humph, do you really think I'm easy to bully? Spirit Fire Talisman, Blast, Jasper Sword, Go! Zilinger grunted coldly, and with her hand outstretched, she shot out fire. In the blink of an eye, the fire exploded around Mo Dandong, forming a blazing fire that surrounded him. After the eye blaze exploded, before Mo Dandong could react, Zilinger stabbed at her opponent with a flash of turquoise light. Clank! With a resounding explosion, Mo Dandong and Zilinger exchanged blows. Mo Dandong used a long sword, and with a wide opening, he pressed Zilinger into retreat, and it knocked back the advantage of its initial raid. In the blink of an eye, The two of them had fought for dozens of moves, and both of them had more or less some damage on their bodies. This looked impatient in the eyes of Chidanzi, and more than a few moments of heartache, seeing that Zlinger was about to be slashed on a break, under the eyes of a great injury. He couldn't help but step in and interfere right away. Kid, you're too rampant. Don't you know that you have to know respect when you see someone stronger than you outside? He bellowed and sought a reason to slap down a palm, directly knocking Mo Dondon to the ground. Humph, dead old man, you dare to strike at me. Aren't you afraid that my master, the refined Shadow Danzun, will find you in trouble? After being knocked out, Mo Dondon did not have the slightest fear, and there was even more cruelty and defiance in his eyes. There was no fear at all. You really think that your master can shelter you? You have to know that this is the ancient Dan realm, a place where even true immortals don't dare to claim to know everything. Look at you. If I don't teach you a lesson, do you really think you can defy everything just because you have a powerful master? Chidanzi was extremely hateful to such people who relied on connections. You have to know that having a little bit of power directly makes them, the dispersed people, tolerate a lot and are bullied extremely much. It was fine outside before, but now in this one secret realm, it directly triggered his resentment. Saying that, he went forward and under the dance of his spiritual energy, he dispersed the spiritual energy that Mo Dondon had secretly condensed with a punch, and also punched him down heavily on his abdomen. Hello, you're good. Mo Dondon stared at Chidanzi with a deadly stare, his eyes covered with defiance and a look of hatred. Although this old kid didn't waste him, he did break his spiritual energy. Don't try to regain your strength without some time. Linger, this brat is all yours. Give me a hard beating. It's best to just waste him. Let him know what people can be messed with and what people can't be messed with. Red Danzi had a chill in his eyes, and at that moment, he said to his disciple, looking at the other party's performance, he knew that this guy had definitely grown up from under inside a big power and hadn't suffered many losses. Such a person can either beat the other person to death at once, or else he has to put up with his bullying all the time. There's no third way out. There was only one possibility of wanting to attach oneself to the other side's forces, and that was to let the other side bully them like a dog. But who was he? A 7th grade alchemist, an elder-like existence inside some small to medium-sized forces. How is it possible to take all this gas? Immediately, he gave Merdenton to his disciple to vent his anger and deal with it later. He has the existence of a Danzun master. Are we doing this? Zlinger was just angry at first, but if she really asked her to decapitate the other party, she really didn't dare. After all, that was a Danzun. Humph, what are you afraid of? Master taught you one thing. A dead genius is not called a genius, and no one else cares what happens behind that genius. Chidanzi was truly worthy of being an old man, directly stating the essence of a matter. He didn't just say words like that. Instead, he'd seen too much of this, too many various small clans, awesome celestial pride, because of their own soaring strength and the importance of the people above them. It makes them blind, thinking that they are invincible, inviting countless enemies, and that no one dares to mess with them. But when something happens to the other party, or the talent is lost once, then they can be as miserable as they want to be behind them. Yes, master. Hearing that there was a guarantee from her own master, Zlinger instantly let go of the concerns in her heart and took the turquoise longsword, viciously stabbing at the immobile and completely defenseless Mo Dondon. He snapped, "Succubus, let you be arrogant. This girl has said that one day, when you fall into my hands, there will be a good time for you. Now I will collect some interest first." Saying that, the sharp longsword was as fast as lightning, stabbing several holes in Merdenton's hands and feet. Mo Dondon endured the pain and stared at Zlinger with a fierce voice. "Stinking, kill me if you have the ability. If you don't die in a big way this time, I'll definitely let you experience what it means to be desperate." Although he endured without screaming out on the surface, Mo Dondon had already angrily cursed Zlinger, this woman, thousands and thousands of times inwardly, while at the same time coming up with countless means of concocting the other party deep inside his heart. Humph, really think I wouldn't dare? Zlinger was so provoked that she couldn't help but stab her longsword towards Mo Dondon's heart. Snap! Suddenly, Zlinger's longsword was directly caught. A pair of shin-covered hands caught it, and Chidanzi's words came over, saying, "This kid is just irritating you. Don't fall for the other side's trick. The best way to make him suffer is to waste him. In that case, his master will at most be pursuing us because of the love of master and disciple, and won't put out much force. But once we have decimated him, the nature will be different." With that, Chidanzi removed Zlinger's sword. When Zlinger heard this, a look of ignorance came over her face, and she only subconsciously nodded her head.